Benue State Governor Hyacinth earlier says the visit of the Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Olufemi Oluyede, is already yielding results in addressing insecurity. He announced the deployment of more security personnel to troubled areas and expressed confidence that herdsmen attacks, kidnappings, and other crimes will soon be brought under control. On the call for withdrawal of the military from Benue communities due to the alleged compromise by some of the personnel, the governor urged the people to be cautious, stressing that driving them out of the land was not the best decision to take. The leadership of the State Traditional Council, led by the Tall Chief, said the governor has briefed them on the security situation in the state, as well as the efforts being made to overcome the security challenges, with the federal government supporting him to achieve the desired results. He explained that the communique recently issued to herdsmen was an appeal for them to vacate the farmlands in the state for farmers to boost food production as a way of reducing hunger in the land.
Staff was here, one, to see things for himself and to hear directly from the people. So it was a very positive visit he made. He paid condolences to the entire state. I think it's with the intent of adding more manpower, and it remains our hope that going forward things will actually change. We don't necessarily need to demystify the military, but if there are mistakes, we can talk to them. You know, we can point them out and then we take the corrections.
Of today's meeting, the governor called us to brief us on the security situation in the state, the efforts that have been made, the consultations and so on. And we were encouraged because of the work, the efforts of the state governor, with the security agencies backing him, and with the support of the federal government. A lot has been achieved. That is the aim. The herders that come to feed on the pasture in Benue State, they have always done it. It's just that there are some criminals that are amongst them, and because of that we say that they should leave the farmlands for people to farm.
Gbila is a two-time member of the House of Representatives in the 8th and 9th Assembly. He represented Gwer East/Gwer West Federal Constituency of Benue State. He joins us tonight to look at security challenges in the state. Now, glad to have you join us, Mark.
Thank you very much. Indeed, the pleasure is all mine.
Good. The statement of the governor that insecurity would soon be brought under control must be music to your ears.
Okay, yes, of course it is. Let me first of all use this opportunity to condole with my constituents, my community, and my state over the death, the incessant killing of our people. My heart bleeds. Our heart bleeds. We're in agony right now when daily our people cannot fend for themselves and cannot even be allowed to live in their communities. So it is good news to hear that efforts are being made, but we must say that these efforts, in our own opinion, are not sufficient. Let me refer very immediately to the visit of the Chief of Army Staff. I want to thank all the members of the armed forces for their service, for putting their lives on the line on behalf of our people. But we must say that we expected, when we heard that he said he was relocating, that's the news. I'm sure you heard that news, indeed, that he was relocating. But to our own surprise, he visited and left, you know, on that same day, except, of course, I'm wrong. I have not been proven wrong yet from the information at my disposal. He did not visit the areas concerned. He did not visit his troops on the ground, who were in contact with, some of whom are complaining about the inadequacy of the resources and their conditions of operation right now that is preventing them from being able to combat these attackers. I want to tell Nigerians, Mr. President, who is hearing us, international community, and I want to appreciate Arise TV for raising this issue. We are under siege. Benue State, my community in Gwe West local government area, we're under siege. We're being attacked. We're in a war situation.
War situation.
Yes. And
yeah,
even with the NSA's visit, the same thing transpired. Visiting the state and sitting in the government house to discuss with our chiefs and our leaders. That's a good, commendable idea, but we expect them to go to the ground, to go to those places. You can only understand what the people are suffering when you go there and see the conditions for yourself. So I and my people are not satisfied with the chief of arms just simply visiting the state capital and leaving. He needs to come and see what is happening. And of course, I'm sure you have heard allegations of complicity by certain members of these armed forces.
We'll get there.
Aha.
We'll get there. That's part of what we'll discuss. But then, I mean, music to your ears, fine. But then, what do you make of the accusations and counter-accusations between the governor of the state, Hyacinth Alia, and Abba Moro, who is a senator here in Abuja? What do you make of the accusations and counter-accusations?
Okay, so I believe distinguished Senator Abba Moro's response was to the statement by His Excellency the Governor that some Abuja-based politicians and members of the National Assembly are complicit in this, perpetration of dastardly acts against our people. Now, the onus is on the governor. I will not hold brief for him, but as the chief security officer of the state, I believe he must be privy to certain intelligence reports that I am not and that we are not. So I would say that I would call on the governor, I would appeal to him to please ensure that that information is made public. Because if you remember, in the last administration, certain individuals were alleged to be sponsors of terrorism in the country, but those names were never released. We do not want that kind of situation to play itself out again. I personally do not believe, as a former member of the National Assembly, that any member of the National Assembly will be complicit in the killing of their people. But that is my personal opinion. So that is where I appreciate the right, because we all have the freedom of expression, the right of Senator Abba Moro to respond to what the governor says. But like I said, the onus is on the governor to prove this so that the public will know exactly what is going on. But one thing I can say for sure, there definitely is the sponsorship of these attacks. We believe, for my people in Benue State, we believe that there's a premeditated, even the governor alluded to this fact, there's a premeditated and planned attack on our people. I'm sure you have heard that even in confidential briefings that the military has, the information gets leaked to these individuals. So what is going on? That means at very high levels of the society, there are people that are complicit in the killing of my people. And some of us have kept quiet for this long. We have kept faith with this administration of President Ahmed Bola Tinubu. We believe, because of his track record where he was from, that he would address this in a very apolitical manner. We have had faith with the governor who got a very popular mandate. Some of us, even though we're not in the same party with him, agree to that. But
any longer?
Well, yes.
Not in the same party any longer.
Yes,
because
exactly.
you were in his party before.
Exactly. Now, at this point, when my people are being killed, I cannot keep quiet any longer.
All right, so based on what you have said, because the reason, just like you have asked the president, he's listening, he's watching, is to get solutions.
Yes.
Concerning this, it's not even about the accusations and what have you. The governor being the chief security officer, just like you said, they have meetings and they get information. Do you think that there's a need for an investigation into the allegations of the governor to get to the root of the matter? Because, okay, you have said he's not running his mouth. He probably has some information. Do you then think that there may be a need for the security apparatus of the country to say, okay, let's even investigate what the governor is saying? Or should we take it with a pinch of salt?
Definitely. I think it is very critical, based on the governor's allegations, for there to be a very thorough and in-depth investigation into this matter. The concern, obviously, for some of us is whether or not very good due diligence will be done to that investigation. Otherwise, that investigation is long overdue, because my people have alleged to me with some form of evidence that they have found some military people at the location where our people have been killed. They have seen a lack of response when attacks are ongoing. There's no proactive response by the military, and that certain members of the military from a certain ethnicity who seem to be, how would I put it, in
Cahoots, yes.
Yes, with some of these attackers are unwilling to respond and protect the people.
Okay, let me ask you two quick questions, again, based on what you've said. The compromise issue. So, why would anyone call for the withdrawal of the military? Is there any rationale behind that call? And then the governor says he's appealing to herders to vacate the farmlands. Why are the herders in the first place occupying the farmlands? Do they have a right to occupy it? Can they be made to vacate the farmlands?
Okay, so I appreciate your questions. First of all, the reason why there has been a call for the withdrawal of the military, including in my community, is because of these instances where the people claim and allege that they have found them complicit
You support the
in
withdrawal
in the death of the people. No, I do not support their withdrawal, but with a proviso, and this is the proviso, and this is the second part where my people have been unhappy. Where they have their right to defend themselves, these military personnel are more interested in coming after the people for possessing arms and ammunition to defend themselves. The fact is that at this point in this country, I want to call for my good friend, the Deputy Speaker and the head of the Constitutional Review Committee in the House and the one in the Senate. There needs to be a constitutional review about self-defense specifically and about the right to bear arms. Because at the moment, yes, the criminal code and the penal code provide in the relevant sections the right to self-defense, which, but for your information, is proportionate. So if somebody is carrying an AK-47, proportionate, what does that mean, Indeed, an AK-47. So if my people are carrying AK-47s, why is the army going after only my people? Why can't they go after those people? Is this not the same army that we have seen, we have celebrated in Syria alone, we have celebrated across the world? Why can't they be proactive? That is one of the reasons why they're calling for their withdrawal, because of those concerns. And then the issue now of the headsmen. The fact is, they have typically been coming in this area for decades to come and graze their cattle. But we have come to see that, like the governor confirmed, and I'm happy he said this himself, that armed herders are now coming. And we have an anti-open grazing law. And this is where I'm also calling upon the governor to implement the law. We have a law in place, but these people obviously, so that confirms you indeed that there is a premeditated plan. They don't just come and graze anymore, they now occupy the place where they have ransacked and driven our people out. And it's important to point out, I have to use this opportunity, if you permit me, to say that even the IDPs are not being provided for. That's an issue that I want you to bring to the fore. This is very critical. In the last administration, they promised 10 billion naira for rehabilitation and resettlement. We have not heard any news about that money to date. We thought President Ahmed Bola Tinubu will come and implement that. And I'm calling on the president. His predecessor promised us in Benue, in Plateau, in all the states affected, that a certain amount, then it was 10 billion naira, was made available for the resettlement of our people. That has not happened to date. IDPs are in camps not being provided for. The governor mentioned intervention from NEMA and from United Nations. I must inform you that this is one-off. It's not as if it's regular. But if you remember, a little while back in Borno, they were providing regular intervention to the IDPs. Why is it different about us? Why can't we get that regular intervention in Plateau State, in Benue State regularly? So that's an issue I need to bring to the fore, because that explains when these herders now go and occupy those lands, obviously people are being displaced.
All right. We'll leave there Gbila, a two-time member of the House of Reps in the 8th and 9th Assembly under APC-PDP, but now in the Labour Party. Interesting. He represented Kware East, Kware West Federal Constituency in Benue State. Thank you for sharing your thoughts with us on News 9.
Thank you very much indeed.